I said earlier that William Ruto is a political pickpocketer, and he started by pickpocketing Jubilee. He pickpocketed Jubilee thanks to the rise of Uhuru Kenyatta that stopped the pickpocketing. Now he has gone to pickpocket ODM. He has pickpocketed ODM until now ODM is a shell of itself. And also it's important for us to warn the president to stop interfering with political parties. I also want to tell PLC that this is the time to come to fight for ODM. I want to tell ORPP this is the time to fight for ODM. Why am I asking these questions? Let me tell you what happened in the ouster for Sifuna, then you can be able to understand what I'm talking about. First and foremost, you have to know that ODM has 41 NEC members. 41 NEC members. Out of those 41 NEC members, only 34 were invited in Mombasa to declare how Sifuna can be ousted. As that was happening, I know that 10 out of the 34 did not agree with the ouster of Sifuna. Evidence is that look at the press statement given, those 10 members were missing. Now it's upon you to guess who was missing there, then you'll see what's happening. Now, I know that Oburu arrived in Mombasa in a brand new VX with a chase car with the 12 GSU police protection. I'm also aware that over 35 policemen and GSU and plainclothes officers totaling around 85 were present. The security operators were more than ODM officials who were there. It was clear that had Sifuna surfaced, I had information that it was going to be even physically bruised. Thank God he did not attend that one. It could have been another story, because that's what has always been the script of the so-called must go. So must go had planned that if Sifuna defied to go there, it happened. But before that, ODM leaders met somewhere in Karen and decided they are going to postpone the NEC because one of the senior members, who is a wise man in that, gave a counsel by saying, because there is no concurrence, there was need to consult more to postpone the ouster of Sifuna. But some people could not wait for his blood. So they converted and contravened and formed this so-called NEC in Mombasa. That's why NEC was not in Nairobi, it took place in Mombasa. Why Mombasa? To make it difficult for some people to join last minute, because that meeting could have taken at Orange House. It's even cheaper to spend this money in Orange House. Why are they blowing Raila's party's money that they are flying people to Mombasa to and fro, in Kilifi, everywhere? That money could be helped to help people who are poor in Luo Nyanza, in Coast Province, who are suffering. You are flying people to go, that you are going to Mombasa in a big hotel, Pride Inn, just to remove Sifuna. And people are dying of hunger. Look at the priorities we have here. So these are William Ruto's priorities. They are not for ODM. He has pickpocketed ODM. William Ruto is controlling ODM as we speak. My ask to Kenyans, let us reject must go. My ask to PLP, I am a presidential aspirant of LDP. I will not be happy to see LDP go through what ODM is going through. And the members of PLC should come in to defend ODM, because that's why they are together with ODM. ORPP should strengthen political parties by ensuring that a party leader of UDA does not interfere with ODM. And I can say this is why President William Ruto stands disqualified as a leader who should vie for election in 2027. But if he is not disqualified legally, will disqualify him in the ballot. So from today, when you greet anybody, your handshake say must go. When you meet a friend in the traffic, wave and say must go. Even if you meet your girlfriend, before they say must go, you should not be very courteous to them, because must go, has to go, is gone, and is therefore not there. Gone in Jesus' name, he must go. The reason why we went to court for Safaricom sale is, one, that Safaricom is not just a telco. Safaricom is like the engine of Kenya's financial services and data, health data, bio data. So it's a strategic asset to Kenya. It can't just be sold for
for the sake that is commercial, there's a commercial value. So it's more than that. So poses a lot of risk to a country if you do this. Secondly, Safaricom carries even used to declare the election results in Kenya, and if election results can be declared through Safaricom and is majority owned by a foreign company, then you tell what can happen. So that was completely a problem. The other thing is that the process for getting the sale of Safaricom has not complied with the law, whether it's Privatization Act, whether it's Public Finance Management Act. So there's a lot of constitutional violations which are very heavy. Even public participation has not been done properly. We also argue that the sale of Safaricom is not making sense because how the shares were priced. So we discussed them to disclose to us how they price the shares. Ndindi Nyoro has been talking about that. But our case was very strong on that when we take it to court. Even the appointing of who are the advisors, we are privy to the information that they gave it to KCB single-handedly without even competitive, let's say, bidding. Also, Safaricom has so much liabilities that they owe to Kenyans, and if you give this to a foreign company might not be having that sole responsibility to pay these obligations of liability they owe to Kenyans, as opposed to if it is actually a Kenyan company. We're also concerned in a way that the sale of Safaricom shares, which are 15% stake, would make Safaricom will make Vodafone get 150 million in dividends per year. So how do you sell your shares for 204 billion shillings? And then after just 1 year, somebody makes 115 billion shillings in dividends. And then the next year, adding together is 300 billion shillings in dividends in 2 years. Yet you're selling your shares for 204. And the last thing, which I think was key for us, is the conflict of interest. No, the second last, the conflict of interest, because in the board of Safaricom, we have the people buying and the people selling. So it's like the left is selling to the right. So obviously, if you are marrying your own daughter, you know very well how you can play around with the rules of marriage. So this does not make sense. And the last one is that Safaricom is being sold to create a fund. This other sovereign wealth fund or infrastructure fund, there's a considerable provision how it should be done. This fund cannot be created, and Badi says that when it's created, he's going to be the single signatory of that fund. The last thing I'm trying to say here is that if you look at Article 206 of the Constitution, it explains how a fund should be created. So the last one I'm talking about is the Article 206 of the Constitution, which explains how a fund should be created. When a fund is created, Parliament should be involved in creating a fund. And when the fund is created, it should go directly to the consolidated fund. But here, Mbadi is saying they should be created in somewhere in his office or the office of the president where they can access the way they want.